All right. As I look to my right to make sure the sound and audio quality is up tip-high. What's happening, guys? Welcome to the latest and greatest episode of Terrible Towel Tuesday. I am your host, SimFBallCritic, live in the building. And excuse me, guys, 2 weeks in a row, y'all have seen me bopping and jamming before the show starts. Just been going through my stash, man. I'm finding a lot of these old tracks that I made. I got a bad habit, guys. Again, you know, I just do it for sport now. I got a bad habit of creating beats and not going back to them, or half creating them, starting them, and then I just go through it and find stuff and be like, oh, I forgot about that one. And this is another one of those that, yeah, I really rock with. So, speaking of which, I might make something tonight, man. I'm in the mood. I'm in the mood to create tonight. So I might chop up a beat or two. But what's happening, guys? Welcome again to the latest and greatest episode of Terrible Towel Tuesday. Y'all didn't come here to hear me talk about music. Y'all want to hear me talk about the Steelers. All right? So let's get to it. Let's say hello to the early commenters. My man CT Pittman in the building. My man Mark Cunningham is in the building. Big Dro in the building. Lanisha, the lovely Lanisha in the building. Like always, we're going to give a special hello to our ladies. Treat them with care, and we're going to roll out that red carpet for them. Always good to see you, Lanisha, and whoever else might be here already. Who else is in here? Derek Moore is in the building. Vista Light is in the building. Steeler Cards is in the building. My good brother Kenyon in the building. The infamous Tim in the building. He says, film is horrendous. Man. Haven't had the opportunity to comb through the All 22 yet, but I did rewatch the game, and I rewatched and paused and took notes on plays that I want to go back and watch. But yeah, film is horrendous, man. We'll get to it. Who else is up in here, man? Stall 2213 is in the building. Still Gotti in the building. DPJ 310, which I believe is the lovely, the one and only Debbie is in the building. Hello, Debbie. Always good to see and hear from you. You already know how I feel about you, Debbie, as do I with Lanisha and the rest of the lovely ladies. So hello, Debbie. Always a pleasure to have you on live and in color. And again, I'm going to keep saying it. I need my Debbie, my Lanisha, my Destiny, my Sade, my Odessa. I'm even going back to Odessa. Whoever else is a part of that. Some of the newer ladies. I need another show with just the ladies, man. We all enjoy that. I want another one. Come on, be a part of the show, man. But all right, man, let's get right into it, guys. Listen, the Discord is open. Let me get the link for some of you that would like to come in and drop your opinion. Let me get it. I'm going to post it to you guys. Listen, I invite anybody to come on, man, each and every week. To share your thoughts, your concerns, your opinions, your loves, your hate, any thoughts you have towards me, bring it on. I am not one of those people that will cut you short. I will let you speak, whether we agree or disagree, man. That's what this show is all about. But let's get to where I'm going, guys. Let me start wasting y'all's time. Listen, it's very simple. We're going to talk a little bit about, a couple things that I got from the Tomlin Presser. We'll also talk a little recap of some of the things that I was able to notate, man, as I rewatched the game, which technically was me watching it. Remember, I told you guys Sunday I didn't get a chance to actually see the game. I saw the last drive, but was giving you guys my reflections and thoughts just off of the box score. And then when I watched the game, I saw quite a few things, man, that I didn't realize happened during the game. So I'm going to comment on that. So bear with me on that. But let's get to the Tomlin stuff really quick. Listen. We're going to talk about injuries. As of right now, James Pierre is noted as... Oh, hold on. That's the wrong one. Let me go back to the right one. Hold on. That's the wrong one. Let me go back to the right one, the right document. Here we go. Here we go. I think I got the right one now. Hold on, guys. Give me a second. Here we go. Darnell Washington is out for the season, guys. We probably all figured that after we learned that he had a broken arm, so Tomlin did confirm that. Calvin Austin has a chance to play this week. Brandon Echols has a chance to play this week. James Pierre has a chance to play this week, as does Isaac Seumalo. Has a chance to play this week. Y'all know the famous phrase, participation will be the guide for those guys. Malik Harrison, Tomlin mentioned he was optimistic about his potential return, and also he says he is optimistic about one TJ Watt's return. So we shall see how that goes. And before we go any further, I'm going to salute and say thank you to the good brother CT Pittman dropping that Wonder Bread. Let's get into it. Okay, interesting comment here, man. I know some people are going to attack it. He says, before the Fire Tomlin crowd comes in, let me remind them Vegas still had the Ravens coming back and winning the division when they were 1-5. I definitely remember some people saying if Lamar Jackson gets healthy, that the Ravens would win the division. I definitely recall before the season started, most expected the Ravens and or the Bengals to win the division. Definitely the Steelers were a long shot. Again, guys, I don't use recency bias, and I don't use, the outcomes to dictate my feelings. Y'all know I said this in the beginning of the season. I didn't know what this team was going to be. But as this team started playing, I said, okay, they show some weeks that they show to be competitive, and they show other weeks that they look like they ain't got no business in contention at all. I'm still right there with this team, man. When the team plays complimentary football, I still think, listen, the Steelers, if they play complimentary football and the defense shows up like it has with certain games, and they score 25 or more points, 24 even if you want to drop it down, they compete with anybody. My biggest beef with this team is I don't think they do it consistently, right? And again, there were a lot of question marks coming into this season, so I always say it's very interesting as a Steelers fan, just watching other fans, how they talk about the team before the season starts. And then once the season starts, it's like a total 180. All of the questions that you had about the team then probably should be the same questions you had throughout the season, because they never showed us a moment where they were going to be this elite team. Even though I think we started off, 4-1 or whatever it was, they never gave you that elite team feeling. Just my opinion. But they are where they are now, and we'll see what happens, man. That's kind of how I'm going to go with that. What else did I learn from Tomlin? Mike Tomlin mentioned something that was interesting to me. And it kind of goes back to what you noticed in the Cleveland game. He said the Ravens have been playing more zone since the last time that we faced off against the Ravens in Baltimore, right? And so here's my question. Does that change with no DK Metcalf? Remember, they did man up a lot against us in that matchup. DK Metcalf started having his way. He had a solid day throughout that game. Will they shy away from man coverage this time, or will they feel more comfortable playing more zone like they have been, because there's really not a receiver that they fear? So that is something to keep an eye on. Where it relates to this past week's game, Cleveland locked up in man a lot, definitely in the last possession, and you saw how that turned out. Now, there's some things that you could say about it, which I will in a moment, as far as, targeting MVS and, where the ball went and where he wasn't, et cetera, et cetera. But will that be an indication that the Ravens might go back into what they did and the plans that they had earlier in the season and play man against us, since there's no DK Metcalf or nobody that they fear in a one-on-one situation? We shall see. We shall see. Me personally, I always feel like if you can play man against a team, against a receiving core or a receiver that you don't fear that can beat you off the line or create separation or win their one-on-one, I would man that team up all day, because I think the closer you are to the receiver, that makes the quarterback hold the ball a little longer than zone, in my opinion. I've always said that. Of course, guys, you cannot play man or zone every time. You should switch it up, mix it up. But every defense comes in with a primary thing that they want to do. Every defense comes to play with the primary coverage that they want to, put on display in key moments. So if you don't have receivers that you fear, I would say man to me is always better, because again, the tighter the coverage, just your mere presence forces that quarterback to hold the ball longer than them being able to, here's a guy that could just sit in the middle of the zone, find a soft spot. So that is a good question. I definitely wonder if the Ravens come out and they play more man coverage, even though we was killing them when they were in man. I would be curious to see how that plays out with no DK. And oh my goodness, bruh. Guys, let's give a super duper round of applause to Jay Webb. Not Wonder Bread. He dropping Wonder Loaves out here. Man, thank you so much, brother. Thank you so much. Round of applause. He says, I'm not really into the fire Tomlin stuff, as I don't hear people offer a decent alternative. I do get angry about play calling and execution. What have the Ravens really done with a two-time MVP and multiple Pro Bowlers during the Tomlin era? That is an outstanding question, Jay Webb. And again, man, thank you for the Wonder Loaf. Appreciate you, brother. You guys know y'all don't have to, man. So when you guys drop these Wonder Breads, I am beyond appreciative and thankful, man. That is a very good question. Listen, I was going to come on here. I don't want to make it another Tomlin type of show, because again, I know I want to apologize to some of you guys, that core listeners, man, and I always get tricked into having that debate. Listen, I'm here for it, and I don't want to make it into another Tomlin show. However, that is a very good question, man. I've asked that question here before. How do people feel about John Harbaugh? Would you say he's a good or a bad coach? I would say the same thing that I say about Tomlin. I don't know his intimate details as far as him as a coach, but I would say the man is a solid coach, right? I think the team responds to him, right? And in their era, both of them have basically done the same thing. Now, they have more playoff wins of recent, sure, but both of them have been there for plus 15 years. I think Harbaugh is at 17 years. Tomlin at 19. Both of them have one Super Bowl. So again, I just think it's the duration of time that these guys has been with their organizations is what lends people to want them to be out of the door. I think that's all it is, man. I would just keep it short like that. I think that's what it is. You're not used to seeing a coach in the same place that long. And that's a gift and a curse for both Mike Tomlin and John Harbaugh. Maybe it's just time. Like I said, I cannot argue with that from anybody saying, I just think I'm ready for something new. I cannot argue that with anybody. But let's move on, guys. Definitely want to know how they play us defensively. I'm very curious to see how that goes. Let me get into kind of some of my recaps of the game, man. I'm just going to tell you guys a few things that I jotted down as I was watching the game. Here's a quick one. Chuck Clark, in case you guys haven't noticed, is a liability in coverage, particularly in man-to-man. And again, I know some people are going to say, well, most safeties are a liability man-to-man. But anytime you get a receiver caught on Chuck Clark, he seems to just not have a great game, a great day at all. One of which is that play, I'm referencing the play, the 40-something yard pass play to Tillman. I mean, he just outran Chuck Clark, got up on him and outran him. Plain and simple. And, that's something that you have to acknowledge. But again, I'm not beating up the defense for this game. The defense, in my opinion, didn't have many moments that I, scratched my head outside of the Kyle Duggar one. And I don't know if it was Duggar, and I think Chuck Clark might have been over there then, or was that Asante? But the touchdown to Fannin, what was going on there? I haven't had a chance to watch that play on the All-22, but to say that Kyle Duggar got turned around is the least you could say. He was kind of this way and the ball went this way. Like, what happened on that play? I need to look at that to see what coverage that was. I don't know what type of brain fart moment that was. But be on the lookout, my good people, my channel members. I will definitely be posting that play and the All-22 footage this week to see what was going on there. Really quick before I go any further, a round of applause and a shout out to my guy, Rel Fax. Appreciate that Wonder Bread, sir. He said, when the offense has worked, it's been through Warren and Gainwell and our tight ends. DK, even when he was active, was barely involved. So why was MVS? That is $1 million question. And I'm definitely going to talk about that here in just a second. But yeah, great question, sir. Great question about MVS being the target. So yeah, that Chuck Clark play was very crazy. Offensive pass interference, guys, by MVS. It was a 3rd and 6, and it was a big play to Scotty Miller. Do you guys remember that? If I'm not mistaken, it was at the 4-minute and 26-second mark of the first quarter. Remember that? It was like a play down the right side to Scotty Miller. It was a pass interference caused on Valdez-Scantling, and that got wiped out. And the Steelers were forced to punt after that, if I remember correctly. That's a huge moment. Here's another thing I notated, and this was early as I was taking notes. I said the Steelers gave up too many throws in the middle of the field, right? It's not like Shedeur killed us or anything, but again, when you go back and look at places where teams have been successful passing the ball, it's always seems to be in the middle of the field, man, like in between the hashes. Those plays seem to kill us, whether they're straight seam routes or they are skinny post routes, or if it's an over route. It seems like even digs sometimes, it just seems like that middle of the field area is somewhat vulnerable in our defense. And again, you can say that about other defenses in the NFL as well. Sometimes it's just a great concept ran against whatever defense is being put out there. But we got to find ways, guys, and this has been for a few years now. We got to find ways to protect the middle of the field much better. I would say, I don't know, I would have to really go back and analyze it, but I feel like when Minka was healthy, we didn't see as many shots down the middle of the field. Also, you might say that when Deshaun Elliott was healthy. Again, not taking anything away from Kyle Duggar. Not even, saying anything bad about Jalen Ramsey. I just feel like, I don't know, it could have just been circumstance, but it just feels like that the middle of the field presence was felt a little more when Elliott was out there. And like I said, I feel like, Minka helped to protect that a little more. Not saying nobody didn't throw it in the middle of the field when Minka was there. I'm just saying it feels like more, but maybe it's about the same. I'll be honest and say I don't have the stats to back that up. What else did I notate here? Going forward on 4th and 1 with 2 minutes and 50 seconds left in the half, I put a notation here to say, let's discuss this. Here's one of those situations, guys, where you judge the head coach. And you can make a case for whichever way you felt, whether you felt like it was perfect to go for it or not. Here's what I would say. At that moment of the game, if I am the head coach, I may have taken the points only because of this. We get the ball back in the second half. So I may have taken the points because at that point the game was still tight, and you get 3 more on the board, and then you come out. Your hope is you come out in the second half, you stop them, you give them the ball back with over 2 minutes left, but you're hoping that you're going to stop them and either get the ball back or they take it to the half, and then you get the ball to start the second half. However, let me also say something else to y'all. I'm not mad at going for it in that situation for the same reason. Because see, what I don't do, me personally, when I watch football, right, I don't judge a coach, any coach, take it off of our coach, any football coach. I don't look at one single play and judge them. I just don't. Dan Campbell goes for it on 4th down all the time, and there's sometimes that they probably shouldn't, but that doesn't affect my overall feeling of Dan Campbell. I'll give you another example. I think John Harbaugh sometimes goes for it too much in Baltimore. I think they rely too much on thinking they can get it and they don't get it. And I felt like it has cost them in some of their games throughout, over the last few years, right? Mike Tomlin deciding to go for it at that moment, 2 minutes and 50 seconds left in the half, on the opposing side of the field, knowing you get the ball back in the second half, your defense has been playing relatively well. At that point, when it was 10-3, I think, or it might have been 10-6, I don't remember the score then. I'm not mad at either decision. To me, either way you call that is not egregious, as people would say. I don't think so. Like I said, my gut feeling is telling me maybe take the points there, but I can clearly understand why you go for it. It's 1 yard, guys. It's 1 yard. Now, whatever the play call was is a totally different story. Again, the play call is, you got to look directly at the offensive coordinator and quarterback. So, not mad at them going for it there. Man, Nick Herbig, guys. Oh, I love Nick Herbig, man. I love this kid. I think he is going to continue to be a baller for the Steelers, but I did not notice Sunday when it came to you guys with the show, because like I told you, at that point, I hadn't seen the full game. Man, that was a walk-in pick 6. I know some of y'all mentioned it in the chat, but seeing it for myself, man. And if you look at how the rest of the game went, if that's a touchdown right there, at the very worst in the fourth quarter, we're tied, right? Never know how that game could have turned out had he gotten that pick 6 right there. You never know. You never know how that changes what Cleveland decides to do. That was major. Shout outs to Nick Herbig, though, because, and I quote, he said, hey, big time players make big time plays and big moments. He said, hey, I didn't make the play. I have work to do. I appreciate him. I appreciate that answer that he gave, but man, that one hurt, bruh. That was a missed opportunity right there. Boswell missing another kick. Missed opportunity right there. So look, the game was 13-6. If Nick Herbig gets that pick 6, let's just say, at some point we were tied, and if Boswell hits that kick, we win the game. Again, you never know what happens. You cannot predict what you didn't know, but I'm just saying, based off of the final score, that's at least 6 points. That's at least 6 points before we know if Boswell makes the extra point or not. And if he makes the field goal, that's 3. So that's at least 9 points. At least 9 points, at the very least. If it's an extra point, it's 10. But let's just say we don't even know about the extra point. That was at least 9 points missed opportunity by the Steelers. You add 9 to the 6, what do you come up with? More than 13. Steelers win the game. Missed opportunities, guys. What else did I put down here? A terrible roughing the passer call on Cam Hayward. I think that landing on the quarterback thing is terrible anyway, man. But even with that one didn't even, to me, that didn't even it didn't even seem like he put all, it was, he even tried to come off of him at the end. Like, there's no way Cam Hayward could have shifted his momentum in that situation. Horrible call right there. Horrible. I mean, terrible call. But again, listen, I'm one of those people, man. One play, one call is not the reason you lost the game. I just told y'all why they lost the game in terms of points. Here's another one that I wrote. At 9 minutes and 59 seconds, was this, I can't remember if this was the third or the fourth quarter. It might have been the fourth, but I'm going to just say 9:59. But y'all will remember this. There was a false start by Dylan Cook. Dylan Cook had a false start on 3rd and 1. The Steelers were then faced with a 3rd and 6, and they were unable to convert. This was immediately after the interception by Kyle Duggar. Huge. Killed us. Because even if you look at how the design of that play was going and how it was blocked up, it looks like Gainwell is going to pick up that yard. We didn't convert. That killed the Steelers right there. I wrote another timestamp, but again, I don't remember if this is the fourth or the third. I'm going to assume maybe it was the fourth. 5 minutes and 38 seconds on the clock. It was a 3rd and 4. The Steelers decide to run the ball with Gainwell, and the Steelers were unable to block it. And they did run it from a spread formation. I usually hate when we go bunched up and we try to run, but we spread them out, unable to block it, right? Right after that, and this must have been the fourth quarter, the Steelers defense forced a 3 and out right after that. Then, immediately following that, the Steelers offense go 4 and out. Because remember, that was that drive that we had to go for. Yeah, so I know it was the fourth quarter. That was that drive where we had to go for it on 4th and 10. Guess what? We didn't gain a single yard on that series. Do y'all remember that? It was 1st and 10, 2nd and 10, 3rd and 10, and 4th and 10. And the Steelers didn't gain 1 yard. Not 1 yard. Then right after that, the Steelers defense holds the Browns to a field goal. Steelers offense drives right down the field with their back-to-back big passes to Freiermuth. Steelers in the drive from a goal-to-goal situation from like the 7. 3 consecutive passes to MVS. I didn't know this at the time. On that 4th and 10 from the 7, Kenneth Gainwell is wide open. Wide open on the left side, but from the hike, from the snap, Aaron Rodgers is doing this, and he's only going to the one-on-one with MVS against Denzel Ward. 3 straight shots at Denzel Ward. The first 2, the 2nd and 3rd down plays looked like Valdez-Scantling didn't even run the right route. One time the ball was thrown inside, he was on the outside. The next time the ball was thrown inside, outside, he's on the inside. And then on that 4th down, that was pass interference. But once again, guys, I'm going to be fair, like I will say when we beat the Ravens and when we beat the Lions. It shouldn't come down to the one play. Because I keep seeing everybody saying, oh, man, that was pass interference. If we score right there, we win. Well, hold on. Time out. I haven't been in school in a very long time, but I'm pretty sure 6 + 7 is 13, right? Correct? Or am I crazy? Why do we keep saying we were going to win? We tied the game up there. The only way we win is if the Steelers decide to go for 2, but I don't think you go for 2 in that situation. So again, it's a lot of speculative stuff that happens with us, the fans. Yes, that was pass interference, and yes, if we get the call, we probably score, and then we're playing for overtime. And who knows what happens. But to definitively say, oh man, if we score right there, we win, there's no way to predict that. What you could say is the Steelers had shut down the Browns offense for the remainder of that game. True. So do you feel good about the situation? Do you feel like we probably able to get the win there? Maybe, but you can't say we would have won. You cannot say we would have won. So like I said, guys, I don't understand what the deal was with going to MVS 3 times in a row. I echo what a lot of other people have said, not only just us, but even the talking heads in the media. You know, why are you not looking for Kenneth Gainwell or Jaylen Warren, especially Kenneth Gainwell, where Kenneth Gainwell has basically been one of the leading receivers, and to see that he's wide open on that play and it is just predetermined. Listen, I get it. In the NFL, you take your one-on-one matchups, but why do we feel so comfortable with MVS versus Denzel Ward? I don't know. But ultimately, guys, as I watch that game again, you guys can say what you want, but I do not believe this. It's hard for me to walk away again. I got to say it because this has been the comment ever since Sunday. It is hard for me after watching that game to say that Mike Tomlin lost that game. What do we always blame Mike Tomlin for? Defense, right? Defense showed up. Guys, we got 2 turnovers. 2. Should have had 3. Should have had a pick 6. But you turned them over twice. They hit you for 10 points early. You virtually shut them down the rest of the game, and you allowed them to get a field goal late in the 4th only because we had to go for it on 4th and 10 and didn't convert. You gave them a short field. Even with the short field, we shut them down. Defense did their job. Who didn't do their job is players didn't execute well enough on offense, and some of those calls, Arthur Smith, I didn't necessarily like some of those calls. Some of them. Because again, from what I saw watching the game, and I have more for you after I watched the 22, I didn't see great execution. Here's one thing I would say about coaching. I'm assuming it's Arthur Smith, because he's the play caller. Why didn't we go to Jaylen Warren more? Jaylen Warren was running that ball, man. Jaylen Warren, what he had, 12 for 64? Yeah, I see why he averaged, it was 5.4 a carry, because most of his runs was 5 or more. What happened there? Again, from me watching the game, it didn't look like we were in situations where we were forced to pass. The game was never out of reach. I know you'll hear Tomlin say each and every week, the game circumstance determines, what happens as far as distribution of plays and who gets chances. And I'm sure that's true for every game. With that being the case, I didn't see a moment in this game, at least all the way through. Shoot, you can even say through the 4th quarter. There wasn't a moment where the game wasn't in reach. So I don't know why we didn't go to Jaylen Warren more when Jaylen Warren was kind of cooking. But, yeah, I don't know, guys. All I know is, listen, the Steelers faced a very good defense in the Browns. I understand people are looking at records, but you can't always do that. Y'all know that as good as I do, man. You can't always do that with divisional games. You remember the year when the Ravens was 5-11 and they beat the Steelers twice? Imagine that. They swept the Steelers in a season where they were 5-11. It's a divisional contest. And it is what it is, man. Again, our defense did the job. Offense should have been able to produce at least 14 points. I'm stuck on that. 14 points wins that game. It's a shame, man. It's a real shame that the offense just couldn't get going. It's a shame. And that's where I place the blame, guys. So, again, a lot of you guys, you come to the show and you build these narratives and y'all, want to place blame here, place blame there. The eye test is where I place blame on why a team lost. And when coaches do something, like head coaches do something very crazy or something that none of us agree to that stands out in a game, then we all can point to that and say, ha, I did not see that in this game. I saw an offense that could not produce 14 points. A defense that held the opposing team to 10 points until basically 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. And overall, you held them to 13. We pretty much shut the Cleveland Browns offense out for 2.5 quarters. When you do that, and when you turn them over twice, there's no reason you lose that game. You should score more than 14, at least 14 points. Scoring 6 points is unacceptable. So again, that ain't got nothing to do with that 4th and 1. Before the half, going for it or not, it wouldn't have mattered because there's only 9. That don't even got nothing to do with the missed field goal because you add 3 more. You still at 12, you still lose. Unacceptable, man. And then unfortunately, the defense couldn't help them in terms of Herbert catching the pick 6. And that is why they lost the game, folks. The offense just wasn't good enough, period. And there you have it. There you have it. That's what I got for y'all. Let's see if we got any callers. We do. We got a couple. We'll get you guys in, and we'll hear what you guys have to say. I always enjoy hearing you guys' perspective, man. Let me turn the music down a little bit on my end so I can hear my callers, even though I'm jamming. So let's get to it, man. Let's see. Again, I can't see the order of operation in Discord, which is why I really hate this method of phone call, man. But I'm going to go from top right all the way down to the bottom. So we're going to start with Dirty. After that, we're going to grab O, and then after that is Infamous Tim. So let's get Dirty on the line first. What's good, brother? What you got for us?
What's good, Sam? I see, like, the problem with Steeler Nation is they always like to say trap game in a game against a divisional opponent that knows us well. And I don't think they understand that Cleveland is not 4-14 or 4-13 because of their defense. It's their offense. Like, legitimately, their defense is a threat. And this game kind of comes down to Arthur Smith and his lack of creativity. Like, and I looked at the stats. Every game where Kenneth Gainwell, except for the New England and the one against the Jets, where he does not have at least 4 receptions, we lost. In this game, what does he do with Gainwell? He's too busy giving chips to Dylan Cook against Myles Garrett, where honestly, you could have just lived or died by Myles Garrett getting sacked or not. Like, truthfully, I feel like, honestly, his philosophy of spreading the ball around too much, we never have a consistent hot hand when we really need one. And then, like, with Mike Tomlin, my problem with him is like with Roman Wilson. This is a time where Roman Wilson could have actually came in and gave us some production. Like, him sitting him and him not letting them dress up. It like things like that ends up in results like what we've seen on Sunday. Maybe he might not be a good receiver. Maybe he is. We'll never know, though. That's all I got, son.
Man, definitely appreciate your call. I really want to know what's going on with Roman, man. I've been down this road before, man, where I've questioned the coaching and stuff like with players. And all I could do is say they must know something that I don't. You know what I mean? I don't know what that is. I would like to see him play. Like I said, it was rumored a few weeks back when he was benched that the Steelers wanted to go bigger. And what kind of corroborates that is, bringing in Thielen and also bringing MVS up on the active roster, I guess. But again, the one guy that I saw getting some separation, man, whether it was, deep shots down the field or not, was Roman Wilson. He was starting to get separation. And I wish he was playing. Great point about Gainwell, man. I don't know, man. I really don't know. Again, when I watch the 22, guys, y'all know I always have a change of mind the following week sometimes, because once you watch the all 22, you can really see what the game plan was and if guys didn't execute or not. Looks like we was okay in the run game. Like I said, Jaylen Warren had some runs. Gainwell had a decent run in that game, so I don't think that was an issue. I need to go see exactly how we tried to attack him. Let me just address one last thing before I come to you, O. I don't think Dirty was saying this, but I saw a lot of people feeding into what Myles Garrett said. Oh, they were too worried about me not getting the sack record than winning the game. Guys, I don't believe that for one bit. Again, shout outs again. This is why I love Steelers Depot. Alex Kazor had already put up a comparison showing you exactly how we played them in the first matchup. We did the same thing. I find it hard to believe that they were that concerned because of the sack record. I think you do that and chip Myles Garrett because he's Myles Garrett. Regardless of the sack record, I mean, the same reason why TJ gets chipped. So to me, the narrative for somebody to think that they went into that game and said, you know what, let me put my goofy voice on, y'all. We don't even care about winning the game, you know what I mean? What we really want to do, we want to keep him from getting that record. I don't care about winning the game. We can do that next week. Come on, man. Come on, man. Please don't tell me y'all believe that. But I definitely understand what Dirty was saying about, get that man out in more routes or something. You know what I mean? Like chip him with somebody else. But yeah, they virtually played it the same way because he is Myles Garrett. I don't think it had nothing to do with the sack record. All right, next up, man, we got O. What you got for us, brother?
What's up, Sim? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right. I'm going to kind of surprise you with my take here. I'm not putting this one on Tomlin because every time I call, I blame Tomlin. But I'm putting this on both Aaron Rodgers and Arthur Smith because at the end of the first and the second half, you want to know what we did? We threw the ball to our best receiving tight end, and we threw it over the middle. My thing is, when our pass offense is having a hard time, why don't we just go no huddle? Every time we do it, it works. We gotta wait till the end of the half to go no huddle. I don't see a rule saying that you gotta wait till the end of each half to go no huddle. Also, I want to address a point that you made. I was gonna say this before Dirty said something about it. That's a really dumb take when they say that, oh, you're more worried about Myles Garrett getting the sack record than you are winning the game. If he's about to get the sack record, that means that if you let him get sacks, he's gonna wreck the game for you. You think that these people think that you're gonna score more points because he gets more sacks? That's a retarded take, by the way. But I also want to know your thoughts on having Gainwell line up as a wide receiver for this next game because of how good he is out the backfield. He's low-key the best receiving back since Le'Veon Bell. Anyways, that's all I got, Sim. Thanks for taking my call.
Man, thanks for calling in, man. I always appreciate I think some of y'all really know this. I appreciate you guys' takes, man. And I'm going to focus on really quick because this is living proof, guys, of what I be trying to express on the show, right? It's okay to blame Tomlin for stuff. But when it's not his fault, you should be able to do what O just did. Y'all understand what I'm saying? That's why I never understand why people build that whole Tomlin apologist. No, I try to place blame where blame should be. Y'all have literally seen me on this show rip Tomlin for stuff. But when it ain't his fault, I'm gonna come in here and say, hey man, ain't much I can say about the head coach. And this one, the defensive minded head coach, usually we getting on him about that. Ain't much I could say about the Cleveland game. You know, some of you agree or disagree with going for 4th and 1 at 2:50 left in the half. I'm not mad either way there, but I love what O just did there. Now we having dialogue, guys, and we're just talking. It's no finger pointing. My man came in here and said, man, I'm going to surprise you with this one. Usually I blame Tom. There's nothing wrong with that. But in his eyes, in this game, he couldn't see a reason to blame Tomlin. And that's all I be trying to say as a community. That's how we all should be. We should be looking at these games game for game and say, dang, this is how we lost. And placing the blame where we think the blame lies from our eyes. Because at the end of the day, it's still what we think. We don't know for sure. You know what I mean? Great call right there, brother. I appreciate that. But yeah, man, as far as the Gainwell at wide receiver, I'm cool with doing it as much as we did with Le'Veon. But here's the thing. Based off of what he's done for us, I much rather utilize him in the pass game from the formations and alignment that we've been using him, because that's where he creates the mismatch more, right? Not saying that if you get him spread out that you don't create a mismatch, but it depends on the defense, right? Perfect example, Aaron Rodgers in that game, they got the audio. When he's telling them, hey, go to the flat. And then when he gets to the line, hey, just run a go. And it worked. Got him matched up against Anzalone. Boom. But I don't want to just start lining him up out there. If you understand what I'm saying, I want to keep creating the mismatch when the opportunity is there. But you make an excellent point. We definitely got to utilize him more. Absolutely got to use him more. And yeah, Aaron Rodgers just didn't, he wasn't clicking in this past game either, man. So where you're placing your blame, I have to agree. You got to put it more on Rodgers and Arthur Smith in that particular game. And the offense, the lack of production proves that point. So appreciate that, appreciate that. All right, last but not least, guys, we got our guy, infamous Tim, in the building. Let me unmute Tim. There you go. What you got for us, Tim?
Hey, Sim, I hope you can hear me. So last week when we played the Lions, I did want to come on and bring up a point that I thought Steelers Nation should have really been watching out for. There was a series where when we played the Lions, we went screen first down, screen second down, screen third down, 3 and out. Defense pitches a 3 and out. We go back on offense. We go screen, run, screen, which means in 5 plays, Arthur Smith called 4 screen passes, and we gained a total of 8 yards. And I saw him doing the exact same thing this week. I understand the philosophy. You want to run the ball to open up the pass game, but his unwillingness to traditionally drop back is maddening. 4 screen passes in 5 plays is absolutely ridiculous. That's high school football. My big point is, I've been a guy who's been really hard on Roman Wilson, and this game really just proves what I've been saying. At the beginning of the season, when we only had DK Metcalf, the team went out and tried to go get another second wide receiver, saying that they didn't think Roman Wilson was going to be the wide receiver number 2 based on their actions. Then we didn't get that second receiver. We went throughout the midway point of the season. At the trade deadline, we pushed really hard to go and get another receiver. We tried to go get Jacoby Myers, among other guys. And throughout that time period, Roman Wilson was healthy and he wasn't seeing any reps or snaps. And it's not like we didn't want to play him because it was basically his rookie season, because we've been playing our rookies a lot. Our 5th round rookie linebacker is playing a lot. After the trade deadline, we went out and we brought in an Adam Thielen and a Marquez Valdez-Scantling, and those guys they were the starters against the Browns. That's really concerning when DK Metcalf was suspended, Calvin Austin is injured, and Ben Skowronek has a couple broken fingers, so he can't play receiver. So your top 3 wide receivers are out, and Roman Wilson only got 9 snaps. Then, after Darnell Washington breaks his forearm, that's another one of your big-time receiving threats, though he's a tight end. He's out, and Roman Wilson still isn't seeing the field. The fact that a guy named Scotty Miller is getting more snaps and more targets at this point in the season is concerning. Now, we can, look at the film and say he's getting open, he's creating separation. That's cool, but what that means is it's not a play thing. That doesn't mean that it means that he has the ability to play, but there's something going on behind closed doors. The Steelers are really good at keeping these in-house problems in-house, but from what I am seeing based off of the team's actions and Roman Wilson's lack of reps, I think it's something like a Keon Coleman. Maybe he's not showing up to meetings on time. Maybe he's not picking up the playbook, because last season when he did get healthy, Mike Tomlin said he wasn't playing because he didn't pick up the playbook. At this point in the season, I don't understand why he's not on the field. You should at least try to generate some type of value for your 3rd round pick, and he's just not on the field at all. That is extremely concerning, and I don't know what the fix is at this point. That's all I had for you, Sim. Have a good one.
Man, Infamous Tim, I really, really, really appreciate that perspective, and I respect it wholeheartedly, because what Tim is saying, guys, just loose translation, that is a concern, right? Tim is not throwing Roman Wilson in the trash. He's not saying Roman Wilson is buns, as my son always calling somebody buns. It's a concern that he's not on the field, and that's all my point is as well. It echoes Tim. I've been defending Roman Wilson when people are saying, oh, he sucks. I'm like, where's the evidence? Again, the times that we saw him on the field, remember Roman Wilson made plays this year as well. Remember that catch, and some people say it ain't a catch, but that catch against Green Bay, like Roman Wilson has made plays. Roman Wilson has gotten separation. So it absolutely is a concern, as I echo Tim. Why is he not playing? What is it that we don't know about? And that absolutely, I share the same sentiment as Tim there. It's concerning, because is it something else that is going to continue to keep him off the field? And we never get to see, at least in this season, however long or short the remainder of this season is, we don't get to see it. So that is absolutely a concern from that standpoint. So agree, my friend. But all right, guys, let's get into the chat. We got a few more minutes left. Whatever you guys want to say, have to say, let's do it. Derek Moore says, it is game smarts. Rodgers likes the audible, and if you ain't getting the regular call, you won't get the audible, in my opinion. Yep, could be something like that. There was a narrative out there saying that, I saw some narrative today saying that Rodgers doesn't like him. I mean, again, some of that stuff is in-house, and it could be that, Rodgers could have an issue with his lack of understanding, if you will. It's something that we don't know. Debbie says, why is Moose getting more plays as well? He was the one who called on to bring the team down. Okay, you said, why isn't he? Okay, that's what you're trying to say. Why isn't Moose getting more plays as well? He was the one called on to bring the team down the field, yet when it counted for the 3rd and 4th downs, Aaron Rodgers puts those catches in the hands of MVS and Miller. Very good question. Very good question, Debbie. And again, that's a question that I would absolutely have for maybe Aaron Rodgers. Or is it, and see, that's the one thing that we don't know. That's the one thing that we'll never know, guys, as far as when a play is called. We don't know who it's called for. We can only assume, we can speculate based off of reading the quarterback's eyes, right? And it clearly seems like in those situations, Moof was not in the cards, right? because 3 straight times he looks at MVS, and the other time it was Scotty Miller. So, very good question. Like I said, that might be an Aaron Rodgers thing as opposed to an Arthur Smith thing. As well as I want to echo what one of the callers said. I can't remember if it was Tim or it might have been O. One of you guys said, why aren't we running more no huddle? You know, and just to echo something Tomlin says, he's comfortable with guys like Aaron Rodgers because he's a been there, done that guy. Why are we not running more tempo? But y'all remember when I used to complain, y'all been rocking with me for a while. Y'all remember when I used to complain about us not running tempo more, even with Ben. It just, I don't understand it, man. Again, maybe that's a Tomlin philosophy too. I don't know. But the only reason that makes me question that is, again, I remember the Killer B era where we did all of that and we scored mad points. So I don't know if it's, that might have been the philosophy with quarterbacks that aren't Ben and aren't Aaron Rodgers, but I don't know, man. What else y'all got? DKG says, Arthur Smith and Mike T, they ain't Mike Jack, but this is it. And I stand by Mike T all the time, but it's done. Yeah, listen, guys, like I told you, 19 years was a long time, man. So at this point, I'm just waiting to see what the future of the Steelers is, man, regardless of who that includes. Because when the day comes that the Steelers have another head man in charge, that's going to be fun too. That's going to be very fun. So I'm looking forward to all of it, man. But again, I don't expect it to be until at least after the 2027 season. My man Antoine C. Hill, what's up, brother? I haven't seen Twan in a while. He says, yo, Tim and Sim, honestly, I don't think Arthur Smith likes Roman Wilson in his personnel. He likes big wideouts. Now, honestly, Antoine, that might be a thing because, again, the story that was circulating was that the Steelers wanted to get bigger at wide receiver. So that's what I'm saying. It's something that we'll never know. It's some of these things we will never have the answer. And that's, it's just the truth of the matter. Let's see what else y'all got. Mr. Tonight says at the end of the game on our last play, Kenneth Gainwell was wide open. He sure was, man. I talked about that a little earlier. Wide open, bro. Wide open on the left side of Aaron Rodgers. Looks like he was running like an angle route. Never seen him because he did this. Mine was already made. I get it. I get it in the NFL when you see one-on-one, you take your chance. But again, MVS versus Denzel Ward 3 times in a row. CT Pittman says, Sim, what's your thoughts on the narrative out there that Tomlin prevents the offense from passing over the middle of the field? I don't always believe that. I believe it might have had more legs with a Kenny Pickett, a Doug Hodges, even a Mitch Trubisky. But if you think about it, some of the biggest plays that even we saw Doug Hodges make, they were in the middle of the field. Remember that deep shot he threw to James Washington? Y'all remember that one? Against Cincinnati? It was the middle of the field. Aaron Rodgers, when he's thrown to the middle of the field this season, we've had success. We've thrown to the middle of the field quite often, not as much as we would want, but think about how many positive plays we've seen in the middle of the field. Whether it was Freiermuth, Darnell Washington, DK Metcalf against Minnesota, that slant in the middle of the field, in front of the safety. So I do not believe that Tomlin is opposing that. I do believe that Tomlin continues to preach ball security and he's asking his QBs to be smart. But I don't think that applies to Aaron Rodgers. I think he trusts Aaron Rodgers more than the quarterbacks that we've had in the more recent more recent years. So, again, that's just my thought. Listen, how we get down the field to move, middle of the field, which is the reason why I was screaming, even watching the replay, like, yo, where was this the whole game? But, What else y'all got? Anything else before I go? Steeler Card says I would move on from Jonnu. I knew they extended him 1 year more, though. Yeah, I mean, Jonnu hasn't been the worst, but he hasn't been outstanding. You know what I mean? He hasn't been a piece that you could look and say, whoa. You know what I mean? I think we might have seen more potential moments from Donnell Washington than Jonnu, right? And I'm just talking about from a pass catch perspective. Yeah, Jonnu has been, in the last few weeks, he's been definitely a spark even in the run game, right? And the toss to him and all of that. But I'm talking about as a pure receiver. Donnell Washington, to me, has been more of a, man, we got something, could potentially have something here than I could say about Jonnu just in this season alone. What else y'all got? Last thing that I would say really, really quick, guys. I know some of y'all are wondering, what are my thoughts on this coming game? Listen, man, it's the Baltimore Ravens. This game could go either way. Derrick Henry could come out there and have a field day, or we could hold him in check. It's going to come down to our offense. I do not think the Ravens defense is suspect against the pass, right? We've seen that. Not just, what Malik Willis did, but what we did to them in the first matchup. They can be had there. The question is, do we have the eligibles to do it? Without a DK Metcalf, will they play man against us, seeing what Cleveland did, and force some of these guys to win? If they run man, you're not necessarily concerned with a Freiermuth abusing the zone the way he does. Will we be able to run the ball? I think the Steelers can run the ball effectively against most teams. Again, Cleveland is an outstanding defense, and Jaylen Warren was having his spots. So can we produce points, man? Listen, 24 points. 24 points, in this game could do it. Maybe even less, because again, I feel like if you score 20 or more, at least I say 24, that means you've taken time off the clock. That means you're staying on schedule. That means you're winning the time of possession. And I think you do that. I think the Steelers can win the game, but I also think the Ravens are very capable of coming in there and smacking the Steelers. It just, I can't call this one. I really can't. Even though I don't feel like the Steelers make a long run in the playoffs anyway, sure, I'd rather see them get in just to see what happens, but I'm not expecting much. So I'm going to stick to my guns. I'm not going to be disappointed. I'm not going to be overly surprised if they lose. No. This is a game that they could very well lose. I mean, it just is what it is. You're asking them to sweep the Ravens. None of them narratives make sense to me. None of those, they're going to be ready to play, or is the Tomlin? They're going to come into the game with a game plan, ready to play like they play every week. And the best team on the field on Sunday night will be the team that wins. And we'll see who that is. So that's what I got. Y'all got anything else before I go? Yeah, that's exactly, CT. He says, even if we beat the Ravens on Sunday, what do you guys expect in the playoffs? Great question. I don't expect anything. Like I said, go back and watch a few shows ago. I said it probably about 6 weeks ago. Maybe 4 or 5 weeks. Anything that this team does from this point on, I said it then, will be a surprise to me. It will be a surprise to me if they actually take care of business Sunday. It will be a surprise to me if they win the first playoff game. Won't be no surprise to me if they lose Sunday or lose the first playoff game. That's just where I'm at with this team, man. The Celtic Craftsman says, looking forward to this game Sunday night. Hopefully we pull it off. Yeah, man, again, I'm still a fan. I hope we pull it off, but I don't know. Afro Thunder says, Sim, Chuck Noll went through it to the point in 1988, but he and Tom Landry were on the cover of SI that the game had passed them by. Yeah. Could be the same, man. Now, I don't think that Mike Tomlin isn't capable of still being a successful coach in the NFL. I just think, maybe the time in Pittsburgh could have passed by. Maybe. Real Fact says, I feel like this Browns game would have been the difference between a playoff first round exit and a potential playoff run. We had a ton of momentum, lost all of that. Yeah, it is what it is, man. The good side of that, Real Facts, is if they win the game against the Ravens, against that team, the divisional opponent, the rivalry, you're back against the wall and all of that. You win that, I think your momentum is boom, it's right back. I think you're feeling good about yourself winning that game against that opponent. But fair point about the momentum. But like I said, if there's a silver lining in that, if you win this game, I think that momentum comes right back because of the gravity of it. And that's the hints for my title. The Steelers playoff comes a week early, Steeler card says Chargers would be the best outcome, but they are resting starters and Denver's playing for the number 1 seed. Yeah. Leonard Green says Sunday night Steelers versus the Raven refs. Yeah, Kenyon said this. We were texting during after the game. He said the Browns didn't think they were going to lose Sunday, because I was saying, man, I ain't got us winning the game Sunday. And Kenyon said, hey, man, be positive. He said, you never know. He said, look, the Browns came into that game thinking they were going to win, and they won. So that's how the Steelers have to approach Sunday, and you're absolutely correct. Steeler card says Chargers at Patriots, Bills at Jags, Texans at Ravens, Steelers. That's what we are looking at pending an upset. Woo. Yikes. Steelers having to play the Texans. Another solid defense. Another capable quarterback and offense. So that would be interesting. I mean, it'd be good to have them at home, but woof. Woof. I actually think the Texans would get the Ravens out of there if they end up playing the Ravens. Again, C.J. Stroud can put that ball in the air. They got eligibles. The Ravens have not been good against the pass, man, in the last several weeks. So, yeah. That's all I got, guys. Like most of this year, I thought I was going to be able to do pre-show, shows, and it just hasn't worked out, guys. I've been extremely busy on the weekend, so can't promise that's going to happen, but maybe, being that our game is late. But just in case it doesn't, listen, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. We'll be talking to each other Sunday night, and maybe we're talking about a playoff berth, or we're talking about an early offseason. And that's just the reality of it. I'm not sitting here expecting anything. Do I think the Steelers can win? Yes. But I also feel the exact same way about how they could lose. So we'll see what happens. Outside of that, man, I hope everybody absolutely has a wonderful and a happy new year. Let's do this really quick. If you haven't already, man, if you like the video, hit the like button. And of course, if you like the content, subscribe to the channel. And outside of that, especially since New Year's Eve is approaching, I'm just going to ask you guys to stay safe, stay healthy. God bless. Good night. Like always, I thank each and every one of y'all for tuning in. And hey, if you're going to go out, whether that's hanging out or at a friend's house, dinner, whatever, and you can throw some drinks back, guys, please be responsible. Guys and gals, please, please, please Your reflexes are not the same. Be responsible, man. If you're drinking, be responsible. Be safe out there. And hope you all have a happy new year. And hey, I'll be corny like they are at work. See you next year. But yeah, we'll be talking next year, man, about a playoff win or loss. Until then, catch y'all in the next one. Peace.